Welcome to Comic Power. I am your host, Comic Killer 72. This segment today is called Wicked Wednesday. Every Wednesday is like Christmas for us nerds because that's when the new comics come out. These are my recommendations for the best books to pick up on Wednesday. March 8th is a slow week, but there's still some good winners. By the way, I will be doing some special programming about the female contribution in comics. There are so many talented female artists and writers that are underrated. And since the month of March is Women's History Month, what better time than now? So be sure to subscribe and be looking out for that programming as well. And by the way, the Logan movie is awesome. You guys have to see it if you haven't already saw it. It's so good, I'm willing to forgive them for the screw-ups on the first two Wolverine movies. I plan to do a non-spoiler review on that film pretty soon. But for now, let's do what we came here today for, and that's New Comic Day. And DC Comics is giving us Deathstroke number 14. These Bill Sienkiewicz covers look like what you might see after you've been tripping on acid and chased it down with a 12-pack of beer. He's got a very unique style, and I undercredited him too. He is the co-creator of Legion. There's a new TV show on FX based on that character. When I previously did the Legion video, I credited it to Chris Claremont, but it's actually Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz. But let's get back on track. Deathstroke is going to be in the next Batman solo movie, so you definitely want all of his stuff. Next up is Justice League of America number 2. This is a title that's headlined by Batman and Lobo, but it's used as a vehicle to bring up the popularity of characters like Killer Frost and Vixen, who are not very well known to the public, but DC has big plans for those characters. So when they're introduced in animated form or live action, people will be more familiar with them. Next up is Mother Panic number 4, and this book has gotten overlooked, but it's actually pretty good. It's a story of a female vigilante in the person of a new character called Violet Page. She's a Gotham socialite by day, but a vigilante at night, and she's not under Batman's wing, but she is in the same universe. And it's only a matter of time before they run into each other. Her outfit kind of reminds me of Moon Knight in a way, but Moon Knight is inspired by Batman, so we're just coming full circle. Mother Panic is probably already in your dollar bin at your local comic store where it does not belong. I would say pick it up if you can find it. I can't imagine why DC would give this character a comic unless they had some future plan to use her in an animated show or something like that. Next up is Supergirl number 7. This is part of the Mission Mind story arc, and they found an incredible cover artist who is MIGNOLA. I'm sure I'm butchering that. I will definitely be looking out for more work from this artist, and you should too. Next up is Wonder Woman number 18. This is part 2 of the God Watch story arc, and this is her first encounter with the ghost in the machine called Dr. Cyber. But the real story with Wonder Woman is the Jenny Frison variant covers. Jenny is so underrated, it's almost criminal. Next up is The Flash number 18. This is part 1 of a new story arc called Sins of the Father. In this story arc, Wally West must learn the truth about his father, Daniel West, who is also known as the Reverse Flash. So are we witnessing setup material for a future Flash solo spin-off movie? Or should I say movies? I would say yes. This is a good jumping on point if you're not following this title. Next up, let's see what Marvel is up to. And that's going to be all new Wolverine number 18. This Wolverine is in the person of Laura Kinney, who is also known as X-23. They aged up the character a little bit from what she was when she was first introduced in the early 2000s and the way she's depicted in the movie. And she has donned the persona of Wolverine. The Logan character is Old Man Logan. Well, right now anyway, but you know Marvel will hit the reset buttons and send everybody back to normal. Marvel has decided to pimp Venom this week and do Venomized covers where they're depicting some of their other characters and what they would look like if they were infected by the symbiote. There's no real story arc for this. It's just Marvel thinks it looks cool and will sell comics. And they're right, people will buy it. Next up is Captain America Steve Rogers number 13. I'm recommending this because I like the cover. It's a throwback to the 1940s looking covers, what Marvel was publishing under the name Timely in the early 1940s in World War II. And it showed characters like the Submariner, Captain America, and the Human Torch kicking Nazi ass. This pays homage to that. Next up is IVX number 6. That stands for Inhumans vs. X-Men. Issue number 6 is the finale. Finally, because Marvel likes to stretch out things in their crossovers. But it was pretty good. Be sure to pick up the trade paperback of Death of X, which is the setup for all of this in the first place. Next up is the Kingpin number 2. And I really like this cover. It really shows how the Kingpin has a dual personality, sort of like Michael Corleone in The Godfather Part 2. He can be very generous, especially with children, but on the other hand, his business dealings are very brutal. The writer on this is Matthew Rosenberg, who first got famous writing We Can Never Go Home for Black Mass Studios. In terms of characterization, pacing, plot twists, Matthew has it all, and he makes you sympathetic to such a criminal character. He adds depth and nuance to this character. Next up is Nova number 4. The kid Nova just wasn't cutting it, so they brought back Richard Rider, the original Nova. He has a history with Gamora, who you see here on the cover, and Gamora's best cover ever in comics is probably on Nova number 6, volume 4 from 2007. Look at that. That is just tremendous. Nova has always been known as Marvel's answer to Green Lantern, and that the Nova isn't one person, it's a core. Just like the Green Lantern isn't one person, there's a Green Lantern core. And at the end of the day, both properties are space cops. So will Marvel give us a Nova movie in the future? I would put it at slim to none. It would have to spin out of Guardians of the Galaxy. Part 3 of that is probably not going to come out to like 2021. So a Nova movie would have to be like 2023, if at all. Next up is the Man-Thing number 1. This is Marvel rebooting this horror monster series. This character is often compared to the Swamp Thing, and they are very similar. They actually came out in the same year. Man-Thing was introduced in May of 1971 in Savage Tales number 1. The Swamp Thing from DC was introduced in House of Secrets number 92 in June of 1971. With these characters coming out around the same time, it's kind of hard to see who was copying who. Historically, it's been Marvel who is always the one copying DC, but in this case, Marvel was 1 month earlier. If I had to pick one of the properties, I would pick the Swamp Thing. He feels like he could be a lead character, whereas the Man-Thing seems like he's only a supporting character. Expect for this to be canceled after 6 issues. Next up is Dr. Aphra number 5. This character is a spin-off from the Darth Vader series, which ended on issue number 25. This character is a weapons specialist and a smuggler. Think of her as a female Han Solo. First introduced in Darth Vader number 3, she also has 2 companion assassin droids. They're not companion droids serving tea. They are droids that will murder on command. They've set this character up very nicely to appear in a future Star Wars live action movie. Bet on it 100% and get the best copy you can find of Darth Vader number 3 from 2015. Sit on it for 2 or 3 years and it's going to pay off in the future. Next up is our report on independent comics and small publishers. First up is Clandestino number 6 from Black Mass Studios. There was a lot of people that lost their shirt on this book because they went heavy on it after the success of We Can Never Go Home, and it did not go up in value. You should never follow the bandwagon when it comes to these speculation things. Don't know what you're doing because you're going to lose money. The book was pretty good, but Black Mass got plagued by massive shipping delays. Issue number 6 is the conclusion. It was a great read. It just was not a spec hit. Next up is Grass Kings number 1 from Boom Studios. This is from the talented mind of Matt Kindt. He is the writer and the co-creator of Divinity for Valiant Comics. It's a story of 3 brothers who are the rulers over a trailer park kingdom. Matt is a creative genius. He can take a concept like this and make it gold. You should be reading this. Next up is Hellboy and the BPRD 1954 Ghost Moon number 1. Whew, say that 5 times fast. This is part 1 of a 2-issue miniseries. It's written by Mike Mignola. He's the creator of Hellboy, so he really knows the character. Hellboy has a very specific cult following. If you love the character, you can't wait to read this. If you don't like Hellboy and don't know who he is, you have no idea what's going on, so you probably will pass. Next up is Charmed number 1 from Dynamite Entertainment. This also is a niche book based off of the TV show from the WB from the late 90s, early 2000s. So if you like that show, this is a nice tie-in. Next up is the Comic Book History of Comics number 4 of a 6-part miniseries. It's exactly what the title says. It's a history of comics broken down in comic book format. This issue covers the 1950s, the rise of the horror comic genre, and the details that led up to the Comic Codes Authority, that now defunct sticker they used to have to put on comics. If you're a comic history nerd, then this is a must-have. Alright, let's see what Image is up to. They always deliver the heat. First up is Low, number 16. This is the series from Rick Remender about a future world in which the sun has expanded and made the earth uninhabitable. So what's left of humanity has to go to the deep sea to survive. Rick just leaked that it's been optioned to become a movie, so people start paying more attention to this title. But I've been telling you about it for months. It's incredible. Rick is one of the best science fiction writers out there in comics today. Rick is also the writer of Seven to Eternity and Deadly Class, among other things. The guy's brilliant. Next up is The Wicked Divine, number 27. This is the story of the pagan gods of the past that have come to the current day to influence the public by inhabiting the bodies of young people. It's another title that's under the radar that nobody's paying attention to that you should be getting. Next up is the Speculation Pick of the Week. And that's going to be Motor Crush number 4. I've been recommending this book for a very long time. Issue number 1 made my top 10 comics of 2016 list. It's told 50 years in the future of an African American female who is a professional motorcycle racer. That's her day job, but by night she competes in illegal races to obtain an engine boosting narcotic called Crush. The first 3 issues teased that, but they didn't tell us where Crush comes from or how it works. Issue 4 is going to be the origin of Crush. The artist on this is Babs Tarr, who got famous for Batgirl. You can see the manga influence in the style of the art, and it's very fast-paced with a lot of action. The lead character's name is Domino Swift, and she's an African-American female lesbian. There's never been anything like that in comics before. It's well-crafted, it's well-designed, you'll love the universe, you should be following this book. That's it for Image, but we still have more indies to talk about, such as Sky Doll Sudra, number 1 from Titan Comics. The cover alone makes you want to pick this up. That looks very freaky and far out. It's a story of a planet called Sudra where there seems to be peace, but when the title character decides she wants to become a priestess, there seems to be more going on than what she first thought. This is issue 1 of a 2-part miniseries. That's a very creative idea they have there. I'm picking this up. Next up is Street Tiger number 1 from Amigo Comics. It's the story of a man with a bike helmet, a leather jacket, and the symbol of a tiger who's waging a solo war against crime. We've seen the Vigilante archetype many times. Batman, Daredevil, Shadow Man, the Punisher, you name it. But I'm curious to see Amigo's take on this. Your local comic store probably won't carry something like this, so you have to buy it off of eBay or have them special order it. Amigo is a small publisher, but they don't put out crap. They always put out good stuff. I would say get this. And last but not least is Lady Killer 2, number 4 of a 5-part miniseries. This is the story of Josie Schuller. She's a housewife by day, but a contract killer at night. She has a husband and 2 children who are completely oblivious to it. But her mother-in-law is on to her. Lady Killer 1, number 1 made my top 10 comics of 2015, and Lady Killer 2, number 1 made my top 10 comics of 2016. So there's been 2 miniseries, but no ongoing series, not yet, but I think they should. I really dig this character. That's about it for today. Thank you for watching Wicked Wednesday, where I review all the new comic books for a new comic day. Be sure to follow my blog at comicpower.net. On social media, follow me at facebook.com/comicpower.net and comicpower-universe.tumblr.com. And don't forget twitter.com/comicpowersub. I also sell comics on eBay at this link. This is Comic Killer 72 for Comic Power saying bye-bye. And don't forget to share this video, click on subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and tell everyone you know about this channel to help it grow. Thank you for your support.